Good morning, this is Deb, and this is take number 2. Take number 1, I had a technical issue, so let's try this again. Obviously, some of the demonstrations that I did are already demonstrated, so you're going to miss that. But I'll do my best to explain it. Okay, so here's the next step in our folio, and that is covering the whole folio. After we cover everything, then we're going to start decorating and making our signature and moving on from there. But for now, we're going to concentrate on covering our folio. Now, as you can see, I covered my pieces as a solid piece. You don't have to do that. You can do it in collage. You can do it in all different other kinds of ways. I used digitals. You don't have to do that. You can use book page or, I was going to initially use those seed catalogs, but oh, they're so pretty. And I couldn't decide. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm trying really hard not to overthink things and just get in there and get it done. So that's what I did. Okay, so the first thing that you wanted to there are some decisions that you need to make. So you need to decide if or how you are going to cover your spines. Okay, I covered both inside and outside of both spines. Okay, this spine was done with paper. This spine on the inside, I used paper first, and then I covered it in this green seam tape. Once I found that, I'm like, oh, I love that. So yeah, same thing for here. You can see that my white fabric is here, and then I just put the green over the top of it. I really recommend that you reinforce your spine in some way. The outside especially. And if you do that, I would definitely go past a little bit and not just have it directly here. But, I think this is 1.5 inches is what I chose to go here because our spine is 1/2 inch. Then you need to decide, is your cover going to go over the paper like it is here, or is it going to butt up like I did here? Okay. I definitely recommend that on the outside that you go past, and I made the decision to go over the paper as we've just seen. But that's something that you'll need to decide. The next thing that you're also going to decide is your closures. Okay, wait, let me back up. Back to the spine. Okay. When you are deciding on how you're going to put your signature in, this is a Midori signature. So this is elastic. So all you have to do is slide your signature in and out. And then when it is full and you're done writing in it, you can take it out, keep it, put another one in. That's what the Midori is intended for. So when you do that, make sure that you line your, if you're going to use eyelets like I did, make sure you line your eyelets up correctly. I did not do that because I thought when I put that on, if there was some, that it would be tighter in there if it was like that. Yeah, but as you can see, I don't like that look. So that did not work as well as I thought. So I'm just going to put another eyelet here and here, and then that'll take care of that. And then I'll have another decorative element by having 2 eyelets. So if you're going to use an eyelet, that would be important to do, to line it up to the end of your notebook, your signature. I use a crocodile to set my eyelets. You certainly do not have to buy this. You could use a pamphlet stitch like we have done in the past. If you're going to use a pamphlet stitch, you want to mark your pamphlet stitch before you cover anything. You want to mark your holes. So I suggest at 1 inch, at 1 inch, and at 4.5 inches. Use your pokey tool, poke them. Daggone it, I wanted to show you how to do that. I don't know if I can. Okay, yes, here's one. So, remember how we had 3, so there was a fold here and a fold here, and then there's right in here like this, and then there's that center line. That center line is where you're going to put your holes. So you're going to measure down 1 inch, up 1 inch. Obviously it isn't 1 inch. And then 4.5 inches. Okay, so you're going to have that pre-marked. When you cover your spine, you're going to cover one side, and you're going to mark you're going to pokey tool it again, so that you can see your holes. Then you're going to turn it over. You're going to cover the other side, and then you're going to poke your holes. If you cover them both at the same time, you're not going to be able to see your holes. So cover one side, let it dry, poke your holes, turn it over, cover the other side, let it dry, poke your holes. Okay, so now that your pamphlet stitch is done. So many doing this video twice has messed me all up. So, okay. What else? Let's see here. Okay, so decide on your closures. Okay, so we talked about that. So, you could also put a eyelet here. It's my intention to use this to go through this eyelet and go around it. You could just do it just like that and tie it off. You could put this same Midori elastic, which reminds me, this elastic, I can't remember what I told you in this one and what I told you in the last one. I got this on Amazon. It's just black elastic cord. You could put the same thing. You could run this through here, tie it off, and then you've got an elastic. All kinds of things you could do. Or make an elastic and just slide it on and off, you know, like you would a hairband. Or you can make a hairband. Now, wouldn't that be cute? A headband would be really cute to go around there. Okay, I digress. So, decide on the 2 closures. you'll also need to decide how you want to do your flap. Okay, I've decided that this flappy part, instead of opening this way, it's going to open this way, and then that way I can write notes and different things in here. So you're going to cover this with whatever paper, and then, you know, make your little notebook to go in here. You're going to want to score here. I have used a Prong Fastener. I've used these a lot. I really like these. They don't cost a lot. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at Staples or Office Max, wherever, and probably Walmart. And so I use these a lot, and I like those. So the idea here is this flap goes down, this flap goes up, and there's going to be a closure so that this doesn't flap open. So, and then I'll just put my circles around there. This is a different type of a policy closure. Remember last time I taught you how to just make one of these this size, and then you put the string in between the two of them. This one's a little different. So I've got 2 pieces of cardstock covered in my paper. This is a 1-inch circle. This is a 1/2 inch circle. 2 or 3 pieces together so that you can see how it sits up. It gives it dimension. And then that way the cord, you can see how it sits up there. The cord will go around it, or the string, whatever it is that you're going to use, will go around it like that. And so that's how that will look. So you'll need to also decide how you want to do that. If you don't want to use something like this, you could use brads. You could sew it. I mean, there's, you know, you could sew your on this line right here, the fold line, you could sew your little notebook directly to that. All kinds of things. But you want to decide all these things up front before you do anything else, okay? Because, you know, planning is really important, because, you know, if you get along into your project and you think, oh, dang, I should have done this, that, or the other thing. Ask me how I know about that, because I definitely have. I've tried to think through all these different things for you guys so that you didn't have to do that. But, you know, you'll see that there's boo-boos in here. I mean, like this. You think one thing and then it doesn't turn out the way you think sometimes. So, okay. So the next thing that you want to do is trace or measure all of the areas that you're going to cover. Okay, so let me tell you about these first. This flap and this pocket, which I already have sewn down. When before you cut your coverings, you want to trim these at an angle so that they fit up here better, especially this one back in here, because it can kind of get caught up right in here where that fold is. So trim these at an angle around your corners, and then you can trace. Just slip your paper behind there like that. Trace it, cut it out. Now you will have to trim it, because once you trace it, it's going to be a little big, and you will want to trace that down a little bit. Same thing for here. Just because before you put anything down, just put this down on your paper. Just trace around it, trim around it for each element. Same thing for here. Just put your paper behind there like this. Trace around it, cut around it, trim it. So you're going to want to do all that. Once you have got all of your pieces cut, then you sew the pieces. Do not try and sew onto this notebook because it will not work. It is not like fabric and it is not giving. So you're not going to be able to move this around and fold it all up like you do when you work with fabric. Now, if it's a small thing like this, then yeah, you could. But a big notebook like this, you cannot do it. It's just not going to work. So you will cut all your pieces out. You'll trim them all out. Then you will sew them before you glue anything down. Okay? This envelope, here's another example. Where's my paper at here? So you're just going to slip your paper in here like this. You want to make sure that it's you know, nice and flush up into this corner, that it's here, that it's here. Then you're going to trim around it, and then you can trim it to fit the inside of it. As you can see, I've got the whole thing because we cut that top part off. And I'm not going to glue that closed. I want that to be left open. But don't glue it closed until you have filled this inside. Slide that in. It's going to be the very same way. You're just going to do it from the back side. Because I've got this glued down already. Okay? So, when you glue this in here, do not put glue on the whole thing because you're going to be fighting that glue to get it into the pocket. So you don't want to do that. You're going to want to put glue on the corner of this paper right here, just on the corner. Get it slid in there, and I used glue stick 100% for this whole project. Slide it in there, get it all situated, work it all up, do it like this. That way if you have to take it out and rework it, then you can. Once you've got this corner in, then you can lift this up and do this corner. And then lift this up and do this corner. Okay? And you're going to do the same, that's the very same technique when you're covering big spaces like this. So you're going to want to get this piece all situated. You're going to lift it up. You're going to put glue on here. Press it all down. Bring this up. Put glue on here and press it all down. If you try and do one whole piece, I mean, you can do it, but it's awkward and it's difficult, and you probably are going to have to peel it up and redo it. So, what else did I want to tell you? I got a list of stuff over here. Okay, so how to trim and cover the envelope, how to measure. Okay, so let's go back. Remember that we had this flippy flap, and then on this side we had this. Okay, this is going to be an ephemera holder, or what I'm calling an ephemera holder. So when you open it up, you're going to be able to have your seed packs, whatever other kind of little things in here. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is cover these two sides. And I didn't choose to sew them. I thought about it and decided against it. So, but if you wanted to do that, you sure could. This flap I covered separately, and the way I did that was I took a piece of and you could use fabric. I used paper. Fold it in half like this. Make sure that it fits. Slide it on here. Trace around it, cut it off, then you slip it right over there and glue it on. These are strips, one whole strip, 2 inches wide of fabric. You could use paper, you could use acetate. I have done a lot of acetate pockets. You could use vellum. Let me show you. This is an ephemera holder that I made. And you can see I used little vellum pockets. So you're gonna put a bead of glue on these 3 sides and down the center. Once it's good and dry, then you're gonna sew it. You can glue and sew acetate. You can glue and sew vellum without any issues. You can make your pockets more narrow and have 3 of them. All kinds of things. You could even, which would be kind of cute, and I might think about doing that, you could even add another flippy flap on here and kind of have it go out even further. So, anyway. And then, but you want to sew these before you put this piece on, because otherwise then you're going to sew right over the top of it. And then, of course, you're not going to cover the back, or cover the back of this, because then it's going to be glued down. I'm going to glue this whole thing down and not have it any part of it as a pocket, because I think that's going to be a vulnerable area. So I'm going to glue the whole thing down. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather this week. Let me see if I have everything that I wanted to tell you. Just make sure that you trim and sew and cover before you do anything else. Do not glue one pocket closed. Do not glue one thing, on here until, you've got everything covered, and, don't glue this on. This envelope, I rounded this corner. I'm going to leave it open because it's easier to get things in and out. You could put receipts or all kinds of things in here. Now, this part is going to be a pocket, so I just glued here, here, and here to make this into a pocket. Make sure that you cover this flap before you glue this envelope down. You won't put anything on the back side of this because it's going to be glued down. So this is where my map is going to be. You can see that my prong thing has come through there. That's okay. I don't have a problem with that. Had these notes on here so I didn't forget to tell you what I was telling you. Let's hope I don't have to do this number 3. I told you to angle the pockets, round the corners. This is going to be, I made this into a pocket. You don't have to have it into a pocket. You could have it as a flap instead, like we did on the back side. Up to you. This is the envelope that we cut for there. We cut this part off. Oh, there's something else I wanted to tell you on this. When you do the envelopes, take a wet wipe and wipe that glue off, because you don't want that glue on there. So just take that off. Alexa, stop. Take that glue off. In order, I wanted my sides to be exactly the same. This is one of the demonstrations that I did. So this is going to be a pocket, and I'm going to glue this down. Just fold it in half like this. Line those edges up. Take your scissors, cut around it, around the corner, and then those look exactly the same. This, of course, will go on here, and then I will cut one to fit to cover there. And then I'm also going to cover this. I'm going to do the very same thing I did here with this one. Well, here, let me use this. Line these up. Get my, and you don't want to press that down. And then there you go. Then you'll cover that. And to show you how it's not so important on these small ones, but on a big one. Glue half. Glue the other half. It makes it much easier with a glue stick to do a large area like this instead of trying to take this and swirl it all around and squeeze it all out. This works much better for these large covering type projects. So now I will use this for things like this. If I can get my glue to come out. And the envelope had a, yeah, see this little thing right here? I cut that off. Of these two pockets. Okay. And have I told you everything? Okay, so recap, you're going to decide about your spines, how you're going to do those. Are they going to be over? Are they going to be covered? Are they going to be over the paper, under the paper, next to the paper? Decide on your two closures. Don't forget to mark your spine. Now you don't need to worry about it here, but where you're going to put your signature, that's where you're going to mark your spine. So make sure you mark your spine. Mark it and punch your holes. Going to trace. Oh, decide whether or not you're going to sew. If you are, you're going to sew it as soon as you get everything traced and trimmed. So trace, trim, sew. Make your ephemera holder. Cover your envelopes. Make your closures. You also need to remember to determine how you want to, what kind of closures that you want, because you're going to need to know all these things before you put everything together and kind of think it through. So if I'm going to put this here, am I going to put paper over it? I'm going to put paper in it, because you don't want to put your brad on or whatever, your eyelet, and then think, oh man, I forgot to cover that. So you kind of want to have it everything in step-by-step form. The next thing that we're going to do is work on our signature. So, my time's up. Gotta go. See